Hello, I am doing an aquarium update. I've trimmed off some of the leaves on the sword here that were showing the deficiencies just because it was ugly. I'm still working on the deficiencies. As you see, the leaves are a little thin, but that's because the bristlenose is kind of going hungry. The reason for that is because one of my rummy nose tetras got an injury, and it looked like it started like some kind of fungal infection or bacterial infection. So I had to medicate the tank, and then I noticed the skinny one there actually is looking a lot better. But it looked like it had wasting disease, which is caused by parasites. So I medicated the tank, um, and I've been letting the fish fast for a bit. That way they can kind of pass any parasites that they may have or have had, um, because too much food would actually cause them to get constipated, and that in and of itself could be a danger. So I've only fed them once this week, and that has caused this guy right here, I believe we're going to name him Murphy, um, to be a little hungry, and he's kind of taking it out on my sword, which kind of sucks, but leaves can always be trimmed and the plant could always grow back, so it's not that big of a deal. Let's see, I planted the rest of the Ludwigia repens plants that I had. They were floating in another tank, just kind of getting acclimated. I was letting them go through all their stem rot and leaf dropping and all that, so I wouldn't have a massive mess in this tank again. As you can see, there's no more leaves around the bottom. So I'm really happy about that. The new growth on the Ludwigia is actually looking really, really good. It's not showing any signs of any major deficiencies. The colors really, really well. I don't know if you can get it on this camera. I'm just using my phone. But the undersides of the leaves are keeping a decent amount of red. There, you can see it on the top one right there. Which I really like because it adds a little bit of color and contrast to the tank. There are the black neons right there. They're kind of hanging out in the cloud a little bit because they're become a little bit more comfortable. I think it actually has to do with the medication. They may have had some problems that I couldn't really see, because for a while they kind of acted a little strange, and they would kind of grab at flakes and then spit them back out, and they wouldn't really eat as much as I thought they should, especially compared to the standard neons down here. But ever since I've medicated the tank, they have been swimming a little bit better, acting a little bit more comfortable, getting a little bit more behavior out of them, developing a pecking order, which is great. It's what you want them to do. So, yeah. Not to mention when I fed them once this week. And when I fed them, they went crazy and stuffed themselves. So I think the medication has actually been helping all the fish. Let that be a lesson to you to quarantine your fish and even pre-medicate them before you add them to your display tank to make sure that they're going to be healthy, robust, and happy and thriving and everything. There's the money wart right there. The stem rot isn't nearly as bad as it was on the Ludwigia. In fact, it's gotten a lot of new growth since the last video. There's a Ocelot sword that I'm still trying to save. I ordered some Osmocote root tabs to try and give it a little bit of a jump start, because I don't think the Flourish root tabs are providing enough of the macros, which are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, while the Flourish root tabs do have a lot of the trace elements that are really important to plants as well, like the minerals and different types of metals and things like that. Let's see here, this Anubias right here in particular is actually growing a decent amount. Looks really good. This one right here has a little bit of roots coming out, which is awesome, which means that it's happy and it's growing. I actually wouldn't be surprised if roots wound up coming out of the wood down there, as that one right there is my oldest Anubias plant, growing another leaf over there. Has actually done just that. See that root back there? That's actually growing through the wood. It's pretty interesting. The tiny ocelot sword that I had right there I removed because, I mean, it was there for a month and a half and it wasn't really doing anything, so I think it was just barely holding on. So placed in a different tank, and I'm actually probably going to put it in a tiny little pot with some like organic potting soil, topped with some gravel or something, and see if I could get it to jumpstart and actually grow into something usable. So I replaced it with a couple of rosette swords. Their leaves have been mostly okay. You know, you got that one right there, but when you add new plants to a new tank, especially from tissue cultures that were most likely grown immersed, it's kind of expected for the leaves to melt a little bit. I'm also going to be adding one Osmocote tab between them to try and do the same thing as that ocelot sword, and I'm going to be definitely adding one underneath this big guy, because I think that's really the only plant that's showing major signs of deficiencies now. Then I got my Crypt undulata right here. And then I also added some S. repens short stem plants that the idea is you get a little bit of a carpet because they send out side runners and then they kind of pop up out of the substrate there. You know, thinking that the green would contrast really well here with the crypts because they're more of a reddish brown with a little bit of green in the leaves, but these ones are like bright green. So yeah. Little near-eyed snail. Love those things. They're so cool. But yeah. So I think the tank is starting to look a little bit better. It's definitely not nearly as messy. The meds have been going for... This is the 5th day. So on Saturday I'm going to change about 50% of the water and not replace the meds and start feeding the regular regime again, or regimen, regimen, which, you know, usually feed them like every day, and see how things go. So yeah, sorry for the low quality. Oh yeah, so the rams here have a male ram. This is actually the one that got bullied a little bit, and his fin got nipped off a little bit, his little dorsal fin there. And I put the bigger, more aggressive male in the quarantine tank because I'm actually going to find him a new home, because come to find out, he even beats up on females, so I just don't want him in my tank. Speaking of females, there's a female gold ram. It's the same species as the German blue ram, it's just a different color morph. It's actually not an albino, I believe. It's just gold. And then there's a female blue ram around here somewhere. Normal German blue ram, I mean. But she is... Ooh, she's right here. There we go, there we go, there we go. Bright pink belly, nice blue speckling. She is... really beautiful as well, but actually I think I kind of like the gold one a little bit better. Kind of hard to pick favorites though with your fish. But yeah, so this is the update. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'm going to try and get better at my production quality, because I'm sure this is kind of hard to watch. And wow, this is already going on 10 minutes, so yeah. I will post updates as relevant things occur. Have a good one.